Today, we're taking a look at some of the shocking differences in lifestyle between the rich and the poor. Some things are obvious, like buying fancy cars and houses or going on lavish vacations. But some of the things that the poor do and the rich don't might just surprise you. Things like buying prescription medications for animals instead of humans. Healthcare has been a hot-button topic here in America for decades. But no matter which side of the political aisle you stand on, there's one thing that both sides can't deny: costs are rising. Thanks to an aging population, a sharp increase in chronic illnesses such as diabetes and heart disease, and rising drug and treatment prices, Americans pay more for healthcare than ever before. In 2016, the U.S. paid $3.3 trillion in healthcare costs, versus $27.2 billion in 1960. Meanwhile, since 2011 alone, American wages have increased just 11%, while healthcare costs have ballooned by 65%. This skyrocketing in costs has seen many turn to alternatives to traditional healthcare, in this case, animal care. Poor people around the country are now getting prescriptions for their pets, which they then use to receive drugs that they take themselves. In the case of unregulated drugs such as antibiotics, many are simply buying them directly from manufacturers or over the internet. One popular alternative to costly human antibiotics is fish antibiotics, easily purchasable with a click of a mouse from Amazon or eBay. And the price difference can be worth the risk of over or under-medicating, with a prescription for human antibiotics running up to $150 a month versus fish antibiotics purchased in bulk for only $15 a month. But doctors warn that the risk of using animal products over human ones is very real, with the potential for adverse and significant side effects, including the development of treatment-resistant superbugs. Still, the practice is in wide use across the United States and only growing in popularity. Diet very often is the best preventative measure to avoid a costly hospital bill. And in the food department, the difference between rich and poor in America is also staggering. While in the last decade, American diets have improved significantly, with great increases of fresh fruit and vegetables, nuts and whole grains, with mirrored decreases in sodium and sugar intake, the diets between rich and poor families couldn't be more different. A high-income family in America eats an average of 13 servings of vegetables a week, versus 10 for a low-income family, 6 servings of fruit versus 4, 8 servings of whole grains versus 5, and 6 servings of nuts and seeds versus 3 for a low-income family. When it comes to nutritionally poor sugary drinks, such as soda and artificial fruit juice, poor families consume twice as many servings a week versus a high-income family. Experts point at several reasons for this disparity in nutrition versus high and low-income families, such as knowledge barrier on which foods are actually healthy and nutritious versus which aren't. Meal prep time is also a factor, with low-income families opting for processed foods that can be quickly prepared. Lastly, many blame fast food marketing, which is almost exclusively aimed at lower-income families, pointing out the sophistication of modern marketing campaigns of fast food giants such as McDonald's and Taco Bell. Being poor can be tough, and another way life differs between the rich and the poor is their ability to respond to emergency situations. Whether an unexpected illness, car repairs, or another unforeseen disaster, low-income families are often unable to meet these financial challenges and forced into an industry built exclusively to prey on the poor: microloans. Defined as short-term, low-sum, but high-interest loans, the most commonly known include auto title loans or payday loans. Designed to ensnare the most economically vulnerable, microloans offer instant access to cash with very short-term repayment terms and brutal interest rates. As the lenders know full well that most of their customers won't be able to repay the loan in time, let alone the interest rates, they offer additional loans to give some breathing room, all the while dragging individuals even further into debt. In 2017, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau discovered that 90% of fees collected by lenders per year were from individuals who had borrowed 7 or more times, and 75% from individuals with a whopping 10 or more loans. Banned in several states, microloaning is still a booming industry, earning $6.5 billion annually. Attempts at regulation of this industry has met with stiff resistance, often from those it preys on themselves, for whom it can be the only lifeline in an emergency. Still, progress has been made, and along with bans across the country, various state governments have looked into working with banks to establish convenient installment loans with low interest rates. Some lawmakers, though, are looking to expand the fight to big banks too, targeting banks that charge minimum balance fees that exclusively target low-income families who are unable to maintain a minimum bank balance. Though relatively mild, these fees can add up month to month and end up costing a low-income family a significant amount of money. In a sense, people are paying to stay poor. In the fight to afford expensive healthcare, rising food costs, and pay down predatory loans, the poor also do one other thing that the rich don't: work harder for less money. While the rich have historically worked more hours per month than the poor, the gap has been closing, with the rich working an average of 235 hours and the poor working 210 to 220 hours. Many financial experts are quick to point out, however, that the quality of the hours worked are not the same between the two classes. Hours worked by the poor are much less personally satisfying and much more stressful and labor-intensive, which can have a great amount of ancillary effects on the individuals working those jobs, to include low self-esteem, lack of motivation for improvement, and depression. High-income individuals also have benefits that low-income individuals don't, such as healthcare, retirement plans, and job security. And if that wasn't enough, high-income individuals have also seen a meteoric rise in wages since the 1970s, with the top 1% seeing a wage increase of a whopping 156% versus a 65% increase for working-class America. The bottom 10% make on average $8.16 an hour, while the top 5% make $49.74. Due to job insecurity and lack of full-time employment, low-income families are also often forced to find 2 or 3 jobs to fill out a basic 40-hour work week. This directly translates into an increase in transportation costs, higher rates of stress, and lower wages versus a high-income individual with a single, long-term job and the benefit of time in position, wage increases, and promotions. Lack of paid leave and odd hours also compound the problems of a low-income family versus a higher-income one. All that stress often results in another unfortunate thing poor people do that rich people don't: avoid getting beat up by a family member. Domestic violence rates amongst low-income families can be a staggering 5 times greater than high-income families. High rates of stress, personal and job dissatisfaction, and financial hardships all act as a trigger, with 9.5% of low-income households having an abusive family member versus 2.7% of high-income households. Financial status also directly affects a victim's likelihood of being abused domestically, with low-income individuals lacking access to professional help or the ability to leave their living situation. The difference between rich and poor is still staggering, even in a modern first-world nation like America. Though comparatively much better off than low-income households in less developed nations, the truth about poverty in the industrialized world is significant, with entire families trapped in dead-end predatory loans. losing access to high-cost healthcare, and unable to improve their situation due to job insecurity and lack of education opportunities. Actions from lawmakers, however, have helped alleviate some of this strain for the poorest amongst us, with minimum wage hikes across the nation and the establishment of federal protection agencies, such as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. What do you think about the difference in lifestyle between the rich and poor? With today's rising food, housing, and healthcare costs versus stagnant wages, is the American dream of a middle-class lifestyle still a financial reality for most? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video called 10 Surprisingly High-Paying Jobs. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.